requirement, if it's considered a requirement for AmeriCorps, for Citi, or for CPS, trust that it is an important requirement and a critical requirement at that. We are starting you off on the 23rd, on Monday. That will be your official first day of service. It'll also be your first day of training. And Maggie's going to talk a little bit about what that training period looks like before we send you out into schools. And next week, we are going to actually have Corps members starting out into schools, because next week is also professional development week at schools, where school staff, teachers are showing up for professional development and getting ready for that first day, which is August 30th. I forgot for a moment what month we were in. It's kind of how my summer has gone. But a week from Monday, let's just say, is the first day of school. So coming right up. So those are some key dates to be aware of. Let's see. Let's talk about service as an AmeriCorps member. You do have a couple things that you need to know kind of right off the bat. This shouldn't be news to you, but you do have, in order to graduate from our program and be eligible for the Siegel Education Award, you need to accumulate 1,700 service hours by June 17th of 2022. And it's hard to put that into context. It's just kind of a big number and it's a long way off. But what I want to share with you about that now is it's a really important number, and you should expect, in order to get to that number, you're going to be serving 10-hour days with a half-hour break. So these are going to be long days. This is going to be a very immersive experience and long service days. So you should know that right off the bat. And it is in part because that's when students are going to need you, but it's also in part to keep you on track for those 1,700 hours. The schedules vary by school, but you should expect a typical start time early in the morning. So that's between 7 and 7:45 a.m. These are going to be early days, ending between 5 and 5:45 p.m. Typically, you'll be in person at your school 4 days a week, and then training on Fridays. In the early going, that training is largely going to be virtual, given the size of our Corps. But it will be a day away from students and schools on Fridays nonetheless. That's what you should expect there. As far as an overview of Basic Training Academy, or BTA, you're going to hear that acronym a lot. We're going to have a hybrid, actually not hybrid, but at this point, we're going to be doing your training virtually as a group. Your in-person training will start when you're actually out in schools with your teams towards the end of next week. And one thing I want to stress, Maggie will be talking about Microsoft Teams, which is the platform we use for our online virtual training. But one thing I want to stress too is that the policy hasn't changed when it comes to Chicago residents. So as of Monday, your first day, you need to be residing in or around the immediate area of Chicago for training and service. Okay, and yes, Devin, which is, we may have shared with you, I think we did share with you. In fact, I know we did, because I said, I'll see you here in the office on Monday. We have changed plans. So thank you for raising that one again, Devin. So again, Maggie will talk more about the first couple days and what virtual training will look like. Again, PD week, you'll hear PD week a lot. That's, again, the week before school starts. School staff shows up, starts planning. City, your teams are there. You'll be joining them likely late next week. And then the first day of school is a week from Monday. The other thing I should share, since you may be reading about, or certainly if you've heard about last year, again, we were remote for most of the year. And then we were hybrid in the spring, meaning some of our service was in person and some of our service was actually done remotely. And we will continue to serve where our students are. So when our students are in schools, which we're expecting them to be on the 30th, we're going to be out in schools as well. But I do want you to know, and you'll be hearing more about our health and safety precautions and protocols, but we are also going to be following the guidance of local district and health authorities in making those decisions. All right, I think I've got maybe one more slide to share, and then you will not hear any more from me until Monday. But just want to give you some of the things that we are thinking about, the key principles we're thinking about, not just some of the things, but the key principles we're thinking about as we design and set you up for your year of service. And I mentioned at the beginning, I'm the managing director of Impact. So you should know that means I am accountable for, and I manage our impact directors and managers who are going to manage you, our instructional coaches, our operations team, our service team, which includes learning and development and instructional coaches. It's a village. And I take that responsibility very seriously. So these principles, our principles are ensuring the safety of core members and staff. That is going to be at the forefront of our decision-making, and you'll be hearing more about our safety plans and protocols next week. Public health is important too, right? And we are all coming from different places into schools, and I'm coming into schools in the office space. And so those of us who are in those spaces have to recognize the importance of following CDC, local guidelines, and doing our part to minimize any sort of community spread. So we have to think of ourselves as having that sort of responsibility. We are also prioritizing, supporting, and serving our students, of course, right? Just talked about the needs there. You'll hear a lot more about that on Monday and beyond. Supporting core members' development and service. So you all are going to get a few days of training early next week. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to feel like enough. That's how everybody feels at the beginning of the year. Maggie and Jim and the rest of our service team do a fabulous job. But the training is going to continue throughout the year. So just trust that as you walk out of your training next week, to the extent that you feel like you don't have the answers, the information, you feel like you're not ready, we'll continue to support you throughout the year. And I'm going to quote my colleague, Carlina Rice. I just heard her say the other day, as long as you show up early with a smile, I'm paraphrasing, you're going to be okay. But we will be there for you every step of the way. And then lastly, I want to put a plug in for mental health and well-being support because this is going to be a very challenging year. I mentioned that a moment ago with respect to the hours and the service days, but I want to stress how important it is going to be that you're ready to take care of yourself and take care of yourself first. That's something you're going to be hearing from us, and we're going to be providing supports for you on that front as well. For self-care, super, super important. All right, that's enough from me. But so you can't tell, I'm excited to be here in the space with you today, and more excited to be with you again next week. And so with that, I am actually going to step back and hand it over to Aiden West.
Thanks, JR. I would encourage anyone to feel free to pop questions in the chat if you have any thoughts that we need to revisit at the end. I don't have a ton of final steps before your first day because everyone's in a really good place with onboarding. So I'm just going to review two main things. The first is kind of a final onboarding item, which is your TB test. In order to work in a Chicago Public Schools building, we need a negative TB test on file. And so since you're about to head into schools next Thursday, we'll need that TB test by Wednesday, the 25th. And so you'll just take like a really clear photo of your results document. Doesn't need to be anything fancy as long as we can read all of the information on the page. We'll keep that on file and work with CPS to make sure that you are all set. So I would just encourage folks as you're kind of getting ready, plan to get it done this weekend. You usually need like a couple days for it to like process and go back to get the results read. So I know it's a quick turnaround, but you've got some time between now and like middle of next week to get that in. And you can get it done at any local clinic, CVS or Walgreens. Great question in the chat. Thank you, Inez, for typing that out. TB is a tuberculosis test. And so you'll just, get the results read that you don't have it. The other item I want to remind folks about is kind of getting set up to access your city or systems on day one. Right now you've heard a lot from us over email, and as we engage in virtual training, we're going to shift to a lot of communication and meeting through Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams is kind of like a combination, if you haven't used it already, of like Zoom, but also has like chat features and connects to document libraries and all kinds of good stuff. So you don't need to be like an expert at Teams by your first day by any means. We'll share these links with you as well. But we're going to recommend that you read the guide on getting started with Microsoft Teams and then download it on both desktop and mobile, right? We all know working in the virtual world, when we're in those spaces, like we always can encounter tech challenges. We're here to support you in that. But we've kind of noticed, right, by having both like the web and mobile app, having a good combination of both can allow you to like troubleshoot, toggle back and forth, and just make sure that you have those apps ready to go. It's a bit easier than just like accessing the website. And then once you activate your Cydia accounts on day one, you'll have access to all of these through like the Cydia versions of Microsoft Teams. So I'm just going to take one moment to go ahead and pop the link to the guide and the links to download in the chat. I don't know if those worked. I'll work on that. But for the sake of time, while I'm typing that out, I'm going to pass it over to Maggie, who will discuss, right, once we're ready to go, what day one is going to look like.
Great, thank you, Aiden. Hey, everyone, again, Maggie DeBray, she, her, and hers, proudly serve as the Learning and Development Director. Click for me. I'm going to tell you about your first day with us. So here's our schedule for the day. I forwarded you all today a meeting maker, but at 8:35, you're going to log on, get yourself organized. We'll have some tunes going, a little chance to introduce yourself. JR and our Executive Director, Maedy Hamilton, will be coming in to be kind of your first welcome and introduction to Cydia Chicago. From there, I'm going to lead us through some team building. Going to be on Teams, but the team building is called Zoom. Don't be confused by it. I'll lead you through it. Should be fun. Then 9:45 to 10:15, I'm going to run you through the full schedule for you all for any day that you're with me in the next 2 weeks. That way you have an idea of all the sessions you're getting, what you'll need to accomplish, when you'll meet your teams, etc. 10:15 to 11:15, Jim's going to run you through some Cydia norms, culture, how do we operate. Cydia has a ton of culture. We want to make sure that you have a bit of a grounding and understanding and type of organization you join, what that means for your service here, how you can leverage Cydia culture. You'll have some self-led items. So you'll have we'll do some live sessions together, and then you'll have times where we break off, and it's, all right, you have X amount of time to watch a video, read through an article, do something on your own. So Monday, you'll be learning about the history of national service and kind of how Cydia came to be. Again, Monday's about like getting you some grounding in what organization did I join. You'll then have lunch, 12 to 1. 1 to 1:30, we'll do some more team building. I'm going to talk to you about our standards, prohibited activities, some key things to know before you go into schools. What are our rules and expectations? That next is IOPS time. That is with Aiden and Andrea. They are our Impact Operations Department. That's mostly getting you logged into your email, making sure your Cydia account is set up so that way you can do your time cards, get paid on time, get your benefits, all that critical kind of day one of work stuff. You'll do your member service agreement, which is a contract that you sign that says like, yep, I'm a volunteer at Cydia. Here's what I'm doing all year. But again, you'll kind of do on your own. And then we will do what we call a final circle, which is how at Cydia we start and end every day with a circle. So this first day we will final circle, and the rest of the week we'll do both. Aiden, if you click. Great, so you all are gonna get an email from me tomorrow. It's gonna have all this info again, written out for you, so you got it like in your inbox, ready to rock. But again, first day is gonna start at 8:35 on Microsoft Teams. Give yourself a minute to get set up. We're gonna be taking attendance kind of right when people get in, making sure everybody's there, troubleshooting anybody who can't get in. You have the meeting maker that's titled 823 ACM Training Day 1. That was sent to your personal email. So double check that you have it. If you don't, feel free to flag it in the chat and we can make sure we get you that info. You got a Cydia training t-shirt at registration. Please wear that. We're in we're in virtual platforms for the first couple days. So wear whatever bottoms and shoes are comfortable for you, the training tees on top. And then we're going to go through kind of a checklist when you get signed in the morning that you'll do. All right, I want to talk to you about some highlights. So we're going to be training for 3 days, 8:15 to 5 together. Monday starts at 8:35. The other 2 days are at 8:15. The goal is then to get you all into your schools on Thursday and Friday to do the rest of your learning with your schools and your school teams. So again, I'm going to run through that full schedule with you kind of first thing Monday morning. You'll have it, you'll be ready to go. Thursday and Friday are set currently to be in-person sessions, in person at your schools in Professional Development Week. So know that, as you know, Aiden in City of Chicago has been working hard with CPS to work through background check process and clearance to get everybody into schools on time. So our goal is that everybody will be through and we'll be able to send you off into schools Thursday. For whatever reason, sometimes that process can be slow. If so, don't worry, I got a plan for you Thursday, Friday to hang tight with me. But the goal is, if we can, get everybody into their school buildings on Thursday and Friday, which then you'll have a mixture of sessions that you'll call in with us and other sessions that you'll be with your school. Melanie, I see your question. So once you're in schools, you can definitely bring your own lunches. There's normally refrigerators, microwaves, teachers' lounges that you can leverage. You can also, you'll have a lunch break when you're in schools. So you'll meet your managers on Wednesday. You're going to get placed in your school team. You'll find out where you're going on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, you'll have an hour and 15 minutes with your manager, who's your direct supervisor. Also ask some school-specific questions. What time's lunch? Are there food options around there? Do we have a refrigerator, et cetera? Every school is a little bit different, but you will have a lunch break. Normally, it's enough time to go grab food if you need. We recommend bringing your own lunch because it's just easier when life gets busy. Because you all are starting a little late and we're starting at the time when the rest of your peers are going into PD week with schools, your training is really condensed because we want to get you into schools, learn from your people, want you there for the first day with students. But know that in your first 2 weeks of service, you're going to have times that you step out of your school space and into our virtual training space. My goal by the end of the 2 weeks is to get you fully up to speed with service and anything you may have missed. So just know that the first week of school, you'll be in your classroom, you'll be meeting your students, and then at the end of the day, when school's over, you'll be calling into a virtual session with Jim and I to make sure that you have all the key pieces you need to be successful in school. So know that, again, we'll go over it all Monday, but that's a little bit of our plan. Monday through Wednesday, we're gonna have some jam-packed trainings. Thursday, Friday, you'll be in school with some additional training you'll do. And then that whole second week of your service year, you'll be fully in school with about a session a day that you'll call into to learn other pieces you might have missed. And then once the school year starts, the great part is every single Friday we train. So like JR mentioned, BTA, or our Basic Training Academy, is like fast and furious. Like, what do I need? What are the most key pieces I need to have before I meet my students? After that, know that we're going to get you up to speed. So everybody then trains every single Friday to make sure they have all the puzzle pieces to help their service year be great. You're not going to leave and walk into schools Thursday with every last thing you need. You'll leave with all the stuff you need to know by Thursday. And then every Friday, we'll keep building on your knowledge to make sure that you move through the school year, you get better and better. Yes, so Devin, Wednesday is also virtual. You are going to meet, you're going to talk not to your school team on Wednesday. You're just going to meet your manager. You will find out that your school that you're placed at, and then you'll have what we call an hour one, where you meet and sit with your manager and get the ins and outs of your school. Thursday would be the first day you'd be in person in school. Thank you for those questions. Aiden, if you click again, here's some things we train on. You're going to learn about what we call our whole school, whole child model and how we support student success. It talks about what does it mean to do attendance, social emotional learning, academics. What does that mean? What am I actually doing? We're gonna make sure you know what that is. I wanna make sure you have some context of what city or what's national service. What did I sign up to do? If you're anything like me, when you signed up, I applied to a ton of different jobs after college. And I ended up at City Year, some ways because I did tons of research, and other ways by divine intervention, right? So I want to make sure you know what you signed up for and some of the legacy you're walking into. It is a job, right? So some of the first stuff I need you also to know is just like your benefits. How do I get health care? How do I take days off? Some of the like, how do I operate in my job if I need something? That's going to come in those first 3 days. We're also going to do a lot of team building. Like I mentioned earlier, City Year has a really rich culture. And one of the biggest things City Year is centered around and what makes us so different from a lot of other similar organizations is that we are team-based. Teamwork is one of the most important things we do here. So we do tons of team building. And while this mini group of us won't be an actual school team, you'll be a support for each other as you move through the year. We're going to do a lot of getting to know each other and starting to understand, who am I? How might I operate in my service here? What do I want to work on? We're really looking forward to doing that as a group together. Click again, great. I'm going to send this to you in an email. But here's some things for you to be aware of for your first day. We do tons of stuff on Teams, as Aiden mentioned, in this platform, but it really works best if you are set up on a laptop or a tablet, not your phone. The best thing is if you have can find a quiet workspace, plain background if you can. If you know that your computer has to sit in your kitchen and you got people coming in and out, that's just your life. Totally understandable. There's backgrounds I'll teach you how to put on so that we can kind of blur that so you're not distracting other people. We're addressing those City Year teas. We have cameras on for training, so please get yourself in a space where you feel like you can have your camera on and be ready to chat with people. You're gonna log into Teams. I always tell people when you log into anything in the morning, double check your email. Sometimes things change overnight. You're gonna wanna just make sure there's no new updates. 8:35, hop into that link, say good morning, and then just be prepared to engage, have some fun. I promise you, City Year can be a little overwhelming when you first start. You're gonna meet a lot of people. There are no quizzes, I promise. So I'm not gonna make you recite all the people you met, but I do promise that every person you meet really, truly, and genuinely wants to help make your service here great. So ask questions, we will get through it together. I'm just looking forward to Monday. I think those are all my slides. I think it's Andrea next about uniform.
Perfect. Thank you. So yes, I'm Andrea. Like I said earlier, she, her, hers, and I'm the AmeriCorps Member Experience Manager. But today I'll be helping you with some of your uniform pieces and expectations. So we can click to the next slide. Perfect. So in this deck, we do have a hyperlink where you can see the uniform in full. Currently, right now, uniforms are expected to arrive late to mid to late September. We're excited because we're getting a new logo, a couple new designs. So we're excited for that to come on its way. But in the meantime, we did give you all training t-shirts. You got 3 apiece unless otherwise figuring that out. You have those so you can wear those during this time. And we'll roll out in-person uniform expectations in the next slide. And Aiden was able to link that uniform so you all can see that as well. So right now, before 8/23, your first day, these are some of the pieces that you want to make sure you have to fulfill the parts of your uniform that you have to purchase. So black pants and or black skirt. Pants should ideally fall straight just above the sole of the shoe, or the ankle pants are fine as well. The pants should not be jean material, legging material, yoga pants material, or sweatpants. So think of slacks like khaki material, but black, or professional suits, things of that nature. And skirts should fall knee length or longer. Black belts are optional. It should be a plain black belt with a simple buckle, nothing too big, and so you could be able to tuck your shirt in and it's nice and neat fashion. We also require black closed-toe shoes. We prefer the footwear is all black, Some color accents is fine. So if it has a Nike sign or something like that, that's white, that's fine. But nothing open-toed or the back of your foot is out either, or no heels. So making sure if it's a little booty, you have it's flat and not a heel over an inch, I believe it is. So with socks, you can express yourself. I know I love to wear fun, fancy socks. So please keep any of the graphics that you have on your socks school appropriate and in line with our AmeriCorps and City Year policies that you can see in that uniform link that Aiden added in the chat. And then when it comes to winter accessories, which will come down the line, plain black or neutral colored items are fine and minimal patterns are allowed. If you have any questions or want to see a couple examples, I can definitely support you on that. But these are our uniform pieces. And yes, you will chat more about uniform pieces in your session on Monday, one of the sessions on Monday. So definitely feel free to bring that. Yes. We are at the end, so if you have any questions, I know it's a couple questions in the chat. And then I'll pass this to Aiden if you want to take over.
Yeah, I can just quickly review, right, kind of your point of contact and people to go to between now and Monday, right, depending on the topic. So quick reminder, for any issues like accessing Microsoft Teams, or if there are any emergencies or barriers to service starting Monday, please send an email to both me and Aiden, me and Inez. And we will work together to support you in whatever the circumstance is. Then Andrea is your go-to person for anything related to member benefits, or any of those questions you might have between now and then about the uniform. And then Maggie is going to be your point about anything related to the first day calendar invites, BTA, right? Keeping in mind, we will go into a lot more of that information on that first day, but Maggie's contact info is here. I'll go ahead and copy that in the chat. So you all have those. And then I'll just keep this slide up as well. But we can, like Andrea said, shift into the Q&A. So as you're thinking of your questions, feel free to raise a hand or type them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them. I can answer the question about attendance. So Melanie asked in the chat if we have to miss a day of training or service due to a doctor's appointment, who do we contact? So it's going to be whoever you're like kind of reporting directly to. So I would say in those like first 3 days, just let me and Maggie know if anything extenuating comes up. And then once you're assigned to your manager is going to be your point of contact for all absences. And I would also just highlight, like, obviously we understand when extenuating circumstances come up, but for anything related to like training and, PD week, and then your first week with your students, those are kind of days that we designate as like days you can't really take off, right? Unless it's an extenuating circumstance, because there's so much critical information packed into every day that has been planned. And so kind of making up the missed information becomes a little bit tricky. So again, if it's urgent, we understand, definitely let us know. But then in terms of like planning more intentional time off, I would recommend working with your manager to, yeah, plan ahead for that. So hopefully that answers your question. That was a good one. Hey, Christian, I can answer your question about how absence time works. There is flexibility to take like partial absence days, and you're also allotted 2 additional like appointment times that are 3-hour blocks off. So again, you would work with your manager to kind of determine like what time off is needed and then how to reflect that on your time card. Andrea or Maggie, do you have any closing thoughts or words of wisdom for the group?
Just really excited to meet everybody Monday. I know first days of jobs can be, I don't know, a little nerve wracking, but I promise you it's going to be great. Excited to spend your first few days together. And if you need anything, seriously, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. We're just excited to get you all in and get you started and ready for your service year. See you Monday.
All right, Aiden, are we good to hop off if people are good? See y'all